Meet Scott. He is 41 years old, and this morning his brokerage account crossed $1 million. For the first time, he refreshed the app twice just to make sure the number was real. $1 million. After almost 20 years of saving, investing, and saying no to things he could have bought, the number was finally there. So what did Scott think? We made it. That thought felt harmless. It felt earned. It felt like the finish line. But 10 years later, Scott would still need every paycheck. Not because he lost everything. Not because he made one insane investment. Not because he was stupid. He had a nicer house, a newer SUV, better vacations, and more than $1 million still invested. And yet, 6 days before payday, he would look at his checking account and see less than $2,000. How did I become a millionaire and still feel trapped? That is the first million trap. It does not usually destroy people by making them poor. It destroys them by making them comfortable too early. Now meet Nathan. Same age, similar income, same family pressure, same index fund strategy. Nathan also crossed $1 million at 41. But when he saw the number, he did not think, we made it. He thought, the engine just turned on. That was the difference. Scott treated the first million like proof. Nathan treated it like equipment. And the next 10 years came down to 7 decisions. The first decision was understanding the crossover point. Most people think $1 million is just a bigger pile of money. It is not. It is the moment capital starts competing with labor. At $100,000, a 7% return is $7,000. Useful? Yes. Life-changing? No. At $1 million, a 7% return is $70,000. That is a second salary. But does the portfolio keep paying if you keep pulling fuel out of it? No. The engine only works if the base stays intact. Scott saw $1 million and felt permission. Nathan saw $1 million and ran the math. Using the 4% rule, $1 million produces about $40,000 a year. That is real income. But is it freedom? Not if your household spends $85,000. Definitely not if it spends $120,000. Nathan's real freedom number at $85,000 a year was about $2.1 million. At $120,000, it became $3 million. So he stopped asking, can I afford this? He asked, does this move freedom closer or farther away? That question saved him years. The second decision was freezing the lifestyle. Scott's old SUV still worked, but it was annoying. Repairs, road noise, bad seats. Old technology after 20 years of discipline replacing it felt reasonable. So Scott bought a new SUV for $72,000. The payment was about $790 a month. Then insurance increased, registration increased. Maintenance would cost more too. By the time everything was included, that vehicle added about $1,000 a month to his life. That is $12,000 a year. But the real cost was not $12,000. Every extra dollar of annual spending needs about $20 to $5 of invested assets to support it. So $12,000 of new annual spending added roughly $300,000 to Scott's financial freedom number. One normal American upgrade moved his finish line by $300,000. Was the SUV evil? No. Was Scott broke? No. That is why the trap works. The mistake did not look like a mistake. It looked like a reasonable reward. Nathan wanted a better car too. He test drove one. He liked it. His wife liked it. The payment was affordable. Then he asked, is this a purchase or is this a new baseline? He kept the old car long enough to prove the million had not changed the rules. The third decision was telling almost no one. Why does that matter? Because money changes gravity. Once people know you have it, expectations start orbiting around it. Scott told too many people. At first, it felt good. His family was proud. His friends were impressed. Then the requests started. His son wanted help with a down payment. Home prices were high. Mortgage rates were painful. Rent felt like a trap. Dad, even $40,000 would change everything. Scott understood, so he helped. Then his daughter needed graduate school help. Then a relative had a business idea. Then dinner checks started sliding toward him. Because, after all, Scott is doing well now. Each request made sense by itself. Together, they turned his portfolio into a quiet ATM. Nathan handled it differently. He told almost no one and built a family rule before anyone asked. A fixed help bucket each year, separate from the investment engine. If the bucket had money, he could help. When it was empty, the answer was, not yet. Was that cold? No, it was protection. His kids still got help, and they also got parents who would not need financial help from them later. The fourth decision was watching who suddenly wanted to manage the money. At $1 million, you become a target. Advisors notice you, insurance agents notice you, annuity salespeople notice you. The pitch rarely sounds like a sale, it sounds like safety. Scott met with an advisor who said his portfolio was now too large for simple index funds. You need protection now. You need active management. You need a more sophisticated strategy. The fee sounded small, just 1% a year, but 1% of $1 million is $10,000 every year. $10,000 is not small. Left invested for decades, it can become a six-figure difference. The product sounded professional. Guaranteed income, downside protection, exclusive funds, private deals. The problem was simple. If someone earns more when you are afraid, slow down. Nathan did not reject advice. He rejected sales pressure. When he needed help, he used a fee-only planner and paid for a second opinion. Hourly fee, no commission, no product pitch. Then he kept the system boring. Low-cost index funds, broad diversification, automatic contributions, annual rebalancing. The strategy that built the first million did not need to be rescued by someone selling complexity. The fifth decision was minding the taxes. This is where many new millionaires get careless. They focus on the balance and ignore who can take a piece of it. A Roth dollar is not the same as a 401k dollar. A taxable brokerage dollar is not the same as either one. Capital gains matter. Asset location matters. Withdrawal order matters. Tax drag matters. Scott had money in several accounts, but he treated every dollar the same. He sold appreciated shares without thinking. He pulled from taxable accounts at the wrong time. He ignored gains until tax season. Then April arrived and the bill felt like a surprise. Was it a disaster? No. But small leaks become expensive when the account is large. A 1% fee can quietly cost hundreds of thousands. A 1% tax drag can do the same. Nathan did not become a tax expert. He simply stopped being careless. He knew when selling would trigger gains. He used the Roth as a long-term tax-free bucket. He used the 401k for tax-deferred growth. He treated the taxable account carefully. Because after $1 million, wealth is not just what you earn. It is what you keep multiplying. The sixth decision was respecting sequence risk. This is the danger most people do not feel until it is too late. Averages are not enough. The order of returns matters. Imagine withdrawing money right after hitting $1 million. Then the market drops 20%. Your account falls to $800,000, but you still need money to live. What happens next? You sell shares while they are down. Those shares cannot recover because they are gone. That is sequence risk. Same average return, different order, completely different result. Scott did not fully understand this. When the market dropped about 18%, he saw almost $200,000 disappear. That number did not feel like volatility. It felt like years of work erased. So he sold part of his taxable account to reduce risk. It felt responsible. Then the market recovered. Now he had a new problem. Should he buy back at higher prices? Should he stay out and risk missing more gains? Fear had forced him into a decision he had never planned. Nathan had a rule before the drop. Cash reserve, 18 months of core expenses. Portfolio, boring index funds. Rebalancing, once a year. Panic selling, forbidden. Did he enjoy the drop? Of course not. But he knew the plan before the fear arrived. You do not write your panic rule during the panic. You write it before. The seventh decision was the hardest one. Do nothing. Not because nothing is easy, because at $1 million, doing nothing is the work. The plan that built the first million usually does not need a dramatic upgrade. It needs to be left alone. Automatic investing, reinvested dividends, low-cost funds, annual rebalancing, no panic selling, no clever trades, no borrowing against the portfolio. And most important, no treating the first million like a checking account. Don't touch the first million. Scott kept doing things. He upgraded, he borrowed, he helped. He sold during fear, he accepted higher fixed costs. Reasonable decision after reasonable decision made his life expensive to maintain. By 51, Scott was not broke. That is what made it confusing. He had around $1.3 million invested, a nicer house, a newer SUV, and better trips. From the outside, he looked successful, but 4% of $1.3 million is about $52,000 a year. Useful money. Not enough to cover a $120,000 life, so Scott still needed the paycheck. Mortgage, car payment, insurance, property taxes, home maintenance. One Thursday night, he opened his checking account. Less than $2,000. Payday was 6 days away. And he asked himself, how did I become a millionaire and still feel trapped? Not poverty. Overcommitment. Nathan, at 51, looked less impressive. Same house, older car, no luxury flex. But his portfolio was around $2.2 million. He started with the same $1 million. He kept adding about $1,500 a month. He left the engine alone. At a 7% average return over 10 years, the math did most of the work. Now 4% of $2.2 million was about $88,000 a year. Because Nathan never let his lifestyle explode, that number actually meant something. Could he quit forever? Maybe not. Could he survive a layoff? Yes. Could he leave a bad manager? Yes. Could he move to consulting, part-time work, or a lower stress job? Yes. That is what the first million is supposed to buy, not status. Leverage. Scott used the first million to make the second million easier. Same age, same income, same starting point, different rules. So the moment you hit $1 million, remember the 7 decisions, understand the crossover point, freeze the lifestyle, tell almost no one, watch who wants to manage it, mind the taxes, respect sequence risk, then do the hardest thing of all. Do nothing. Because the first million tests whether you can earn it, the second million tests whether you can leave it alone.